Hey, today we will be looking the economy related environment, ecology, science and technology, disaster related articles in today's newspaper of September 2nd, 2022. The first article goes with GST collections. GST is meant by goods and services tax. So the highlight point over this article is that it has surpassed the last year's estimation. Last year in 2021 August, what was the GST collection? In today's 2022 August collections are 28% higher than the last year's GST revenue collections, which marked above 1.4 lakhs. However, uh, there are different data statistics related to this article, but the point to be remembered over here is that GST collections have been increasing, but the rate of growth of the sectors, but the GST collection is not the same in all the sectors, or the GDP production based is not the same in all the sectors, like in agriculture, manufacturing and contact intensive sector, which is meant by the spa, hotels. These are called as contact intensive sectors. So over these sectors the growth contracted on quarterly basis. Yes, so there is not much news over here, but we can just see how are the estimates by the NSO, National Statistical Office, under the Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation, wherein the projected growth of GDP is going to be around 13%, as you can see over here in this article. In the editorial page it was given about the slow growth rate. The slow growth rate, of course GDP growth rate is there, it is booming, but it is in a slow pace, it is in slower pace. There are multiple reasons for that, and the good part is that GDP growth rate is going towards double digits, similar to that of US, China, Japan, Germany, UK, and now India, then France, the sixth. India being the sixth largest world economy to surpass France soon. So double-digit growth rate is being seen by Indian GDP. Anyhow, so recession, economic slowdown, this terminology, recession in the sense for two successive quarters growth rate is negative. Economic slowdown means growth is happening, but comparatively the growth is falling. Comparatively the growth is reducing. However, growth is taking place, so it is positive, but comparatively the difference between the previous one and today's one and today's one to the next one, that growth rate is somewhat decreasing, so that is called economic slowdown. So this article talks about GST collections and all, IGST, integrated goods and services tax, the CGST plus SGST. So gender budgeting is annually released along with the usual union budget. So gender budgeting means it's a like allotting the money for the women related schemes. I mean, actually what takes place in the sense, in order to promote women equality, gender equality, gender budget is specifically allotted, which is for this year 2022 it is about 5% of the annual total union budget. And in this way we will be giving a tinge of women sensitization, women perspective, and women centric uh, women centric thoughts towards framing policies, different amendments, legislations, in everything, in every process of regulations. As such, a tinge of women's thoughts will also be included through this gender budgeting. So it was the word gender budget first introduced in by Government of India in 2005, However, the focus is not just on women, but the focus should be on adopting intersectionality. That means double disadvantaged sections are there, like being a woman along with some disability. Such sort of vulnerable women are to be specifically focused along with the normally every woman not will not be the same. So especially in the society we need focus for women, and that can be achieved by gender budgeting. And within the women also there are few women who are doubly disadvantaged, like having different issues of caste, gender, disability as such. So even those are to be taken care of. So yet again, this is a very beautiful article about environment related article. We are all aware that about this plastic uses that takes thousands of years for degradation of plastic, and microplastics are entering our food chain, and you can see the evidences of finding microplastics in the bloodstream of the humans. This is quite implorable, and steps are being taken by different world economies. And recently in United Nations Environment Assembly 2019, government of India has pledged to make India plastic free, and it has taken its first step to ban single use plastic, which it started implementation from this recent July 2022, and wherein it has set a limit on the plastic thickness, which is 70 microns. So usually I thought so far that maybe 70 microns plastic is somewhat good for the environment, that's why they have proposed that, but not actually the case. The real reason behind this thickness adoption is that the ceiling is that you see plastic is of different forms, shapes, and it is an indispensable but disposable item that has become a very important part and parcel in our life. So yet again, plastic cannot be removed all at once in this present dominative world. However, the plastic, due to its quite preferable nature and can be easily used up flexibility in any for any utility. So there are different forms of plastic, like some are very cheap plastics, and even rag pickers won't choose them for recycling, because for that collection of such cheap plastics won't fetch them good returns. So everyone prefers, so the sellers usually prefer cheap plastic because for them it is very cheap, and even customers whenever they approach for buying in their shops, they can easily sell off that cheap plastic that is of very less thickness, like 50 microns as such. So now as government of India has kept the ban of 75 microns plastic is must, above 75 is must, so that is quite costly. So the small unorganized sector shopkeepers as such, they won't buy those plastic bags, and they simply sell the customers to bring themselves any bag. So yes, this is expensive. Even the producer or the seller or any shopkeeper will use it very purposefully, and there will also be this penalty if at all he is not using them, by checking them all. And even the rag pickers, if at all they are available, they will just find out them and they will give it to the recycle, because they will this 75 microns plastic beyond is somewhat good, and it gives good returns if they are given for recycle. And the extended producer responsibility, unlike the solid waste management of electronic goods, e-gadgets, is not possible in the plastic management rules of 2021-22, because this is of unbranded item, and this is quite common utility, and no one knows who is the real manufacturer, and can't impose accountability searching for the manufacturer as such. So yes, some steps are to be taken. For suppose many are preferring to just go through paper bags, but even that is not sustainable, because paper bags are by cutting trees, which is not environmentally sustainable in the long run. So we need to think about other alternatives. So government has launched different steps to take care about this plastic ban. For suppose they have just come up to encourage startups who are coming out with innovative ideas to fade out to wipe away plastic usage and giving suggesting some best alternatives to us. So we need to think out of the box in order to get away from these plastic, not at all completely, but steps must be taken so as to just even at least start our steps towards plastic stop this. So this article is about the alternatives to single-use plastics. And yet again another article is about iron ore mining in Karnataka mining iron ore. So we are quite familiar about this. Ballari district and even Chitradurga district, Tumukuru districts are quite famous, and they are rich at having this abundance of iron ores. Recently, actually the news takes us back to those cases of Gali Janardhan Reddy, their brothers who have mined out a lot of iron ores from these areas beyond the limit set by the government, and they have caused severe damage to the environment, but didn't even pay royalty. They fled away, and their business has amassed them huge wealth, and they were in affluence, but not much revenge was taken on them for the damage they have done to the environment by mining at such huge proportions. Anyhow, so then Supreme Court has ordered to not allow much more mining further in these areas, but this has led to deficiency in our domestic production of iron and steel, and India had to rely much more on the supply of iron ore from China, but that is at the stake and compromising our sovereignty. To assert our sovereignty, it is compromising our stature in the international arena. So, however, Supreme Court has reversed its judgment and recently told that environment is important, economy is also important, but we can't compromise our economy for the sake of environment. Neither we shouldn't just leave the environment to the god that we just dwell into the economy. So we must conserve environment and ecology, both must go hand in hand with the spirit of economic development. So Supreme Court asked Indian Council of Forestry Research and Education to draw up a reclamation and rehabilitation plan to reverse the environment damage caused by illegal mining, and right now it has increased the ceiling limit to extract iron ore from these Ballari, Chitradurga and Tumukuru mines or the districts of the Karnataka. So these are the articles related to the economy today. Thank you.